So hi, my name's Dan Edwards.
My name is Raja Khan.
This is episode 1 of what we hope to be an ongoing series of the podcast that we're thinking about calling Credible. Right now it's Credible, it might change. So quickly then, the summary of why are we doing this. Of course, we want content. Content is king. That's how we're trying to build personal brand as well as like growing what we're also doing. But the objective of this podcast is to document and share the conversations that we have with other like-minded individuals. These individuals will either be entrepreneurs or high performers with working in different industries. Each episode, we're aiming to keep about 30 minutes long and focus on one primary topic of conversation that we personally want to learn about. So both of like me and Raj, what we both enjoy about our job is being able to have conversations with different individuals and really learn. I think it's certainly something that we'll touch on more in this episode, but you never stop learning. And it's so important to make sure that you keep feeding your knowledge and growing yourself. And we'd like to welcome our first guest of episode 1, Marc Pearson. Nice to have you. Marc Pearson is a community engagement specialist working to create opportunities that make a difference. What really stands out for me is the fact that Marc works heavily around providing opportunities and support for young and aspiring entrepreneurs. But what we want to talk to Marc about today is his new and first coffee brand, Coffeeazy. Marc has been kind enough to bring some samples for us. It was actually why Marc was coming today, because we wanted to talk about his brand, learn a little bit more and get a free sample. Why not record it? So that's been a win-win, and the coffee is delicious. We can now personally vouch for that.
I'm already done with mine. So is Marc. So.
I'll do a lot more.
Marc swallowed his straight from the kettle. But Marc, just to get into it then, if you could just summarise, fill in the gaps, what is your credibility?
So for me, at the moment, I work with young people, as you mentioned, engaging in kind of coaching, mentoring and starting a business. But I've been working in the charity sector for a number of years now. So for me, it's about engaging with people, whatever their demographic, and putting them on a journey, putting them on a pathway from wherever A is now to B, but then also showing that there's C, D and E on the end of it, and just be part of their journey, part of that jigsaw, and that we're one person working with them to whatever that might be for them. Obviously, I've worked in housing, whereby we're trying to get people from homelessness into social housing, and then obviously that is the foundation for them, whatever they, through to working with people, like at the moment, young people that have come from a disadvantaged background, that have not had those opportunities and those networks to be able to follow passion into starting a business, and obviously we're there to support them on that. So very much for me, it's about support, network, partnership, but at the centre of everything is an individual or a group of people that are then on a pathway of a journey with us part of that.
Now, Marc, this is your first brand, so tell us, why did you decide to start the brand and why coffee?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the coffee, because I think that then feeds into the brand side of things. So for me, I started off drinking, like most people, instant coffee, and I thought that was it. Obviously, you put it in a cup, put some water in, and then that's, you drink it. But then my brother bought some Ethiopian limu, tried it, and I was like, wow, what is this? To be honest, I didn't kind of pick up what was in what's there, but I just could tell that there was something different than just instant coffee. So I started to experiment, started to explore, started to kind of find out a bit more, and that kind of led me on to trying different coffees, different places. To be honest, I started at a supermarket, and obviously again, it's a different experience from instant coffee, and you go to a supermarket, it's got these lots of people. I started that way, and then moved on to finding roasteries and actually finding some coffee, and obviously that's where the whole specialty coffee world comes in. So why I started it was kind of for me, that experience that I had, and I wanted to kind of share that experience. The name, and obviously, came from trying to make coffee easy for people. So we offer a number of different things, but I want to meet people, I want to engage with people about kind of what they drink at the moment, why they enjoy coffee, what is it about the coffee that they drink it, and then kind of start to talk about what we offer. So we offer a number of different coffees, different places, different flavours, all those sort of things, and matching that coffee to that person. Ideally, is what I like to do. But obviously, everybody's different. So then we want to then make that transition from finding the right coffee to ordering that coffee to delivery to enjoying that coffee in your cup as easy as possible for them. Hence where the name came up. Because for me, coffee is an experience. It's not just about the cup. It's not just about that. It's it's opening the box and smelling the coffee and going, wow. You can smell the aroma. You can smell it. You can almost taste it. So that might just be me. But you can start to experience. I mean, you guys have obviously opened about it. Obviously, you've smelled it. Obviously, that there is something very distinct about it, and I think it's really attractive. And I want to get that message out to people. But so yeah, and obviously the other part of the business is we've got an affiliation with coffee equipment with a business that supplies that. So for us, we want to try and make, whether it's home brewing, whether it's in an office, as easy for people to kind of move from, if they are at the moment using instant coffee, into using specialty coffee, and make the kind of transition as simple as possible for them. Because we've got the equipment, we've got the coffee, and again, happy to kind of talk about kind of different methods that you could brew with, and obviously, and just kind of people to enjoy that experience a lot more, and that's kind of. But then obviously, I'm very fortunate to work with a lot of experts in terms of marketing and legal and things like that. So I wanted to try and make my logo and kind of everything about it easy and simple to kind of understand as well. So I think that's kind of where my name kind of came up. I mean, my logo obviously is a really simple, really clear design. It's a cup with steam coming out of it, and I wanted to just kind of show that, like, I mean, I went through 3 or 4 different ideas, but I wanted a simple, clear, crisp kind of. So whether you see the logo or whether you see the whole, just the logo, or you see the whole thing, it's just hopefully easy for people to understand who I am and what I do. And that was kind of, I suppose that's my.
That's a really clear brand identity right there, and the name, of course, does point towards it being one Absolutely love the aroma of it. Of course, I tried this, but this one is the one we had.
It's the Indonesian.
The Indonesian.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So this is a blend from 3 different places: Brazil, El Salvador, and India.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so again, beans come from 3 different places.
Yeah.
So it's blended together to create
flavors. Am I right to say that there's like color difference between the beans of different locations?
Well, how long have you got? Yeah. So let's try and keep this as simple as possible. So you get light, medium, and dark. Okay. Light, obviously, again, they're all roasted in the same roastery, but obviously in terms of temperature, in terms of length of roasting, depends on kind of the look of it. Yeah. You obviously get light, medium, and medium dark, and obviously again, different levels of roasting create different flavours. You'll see a lot of kind of dark roasts will be kind of chocolates, kind of. I want to say heavier flavours, whereas the lighter roasts, you'll get a lot more kind of flavour coming through them. But again, different beans can be roasted differently. So, for example, this Coffeeazy blend comes a medium and a dark. Okay. And so some people just like the dark, and some people just like but I mean, medium's kind of, I suppose, as it kind of says, really, it seems to be fit all.
One of the things that certainly, like how me and Raj have the conversations around like starting a business and stuff, we'd like to think of it as like same way as you're building a building, you need to have like strong foundations. You build it from strong foundations, otherwise, as you go up, things could fall down. Now, from your experience of like having taught these things, and also now having stepped into it yourself. For someone watching this who's maybe considering taking that step, what would you say are like some of the foundational pillars that someone should be considering, like before jumping into it, but maybe before even like actually starting anything? What are the most important things about actually jumping into this?
Talk to other people, communicate, whether that's friends, family, professional network, whatever it is. Talk to people about what you want to do, because you'd be amazed how many people not only have started a business and obviously understand those first steps, but also they can connect you or have a conversation with you about what you want to do, and the amount of questions and communication. So let's talk about Epic. So we very much encourage network and kind of communication at Epic, and we match up with experts or people in the industry that can talk to them. So I would say to anybody starting a business, talk to other people before you even start to put pen to paper, business name, any of those sort of things. Talk to people about what you want to do. You'll be amazed how much you'll learn about yourself, about your business idea, before you've even put pen to paper on actually starting a business. And then when you get to the point that, and also don't have a conversation, but don't wait, don't procrastinate over it, because all you'll do is just keep delaying the process. If you want to start a business, start it, but before you put pen to paper on starting, actually have conversations about it, because you're not alone with any of this. Friends, family can help you out with whatever. Obviously they're there to support you, your network, and also that same professional network. But yeah, just go and do it. Just get out there, start a business, and you won't know all the answers on day one.
Yeah.
And like I say, we mentioned earlier about, obviously you guys asked me about, do I think I know? And I don't, I honestly don't, and you won't either. You ask people, that have been going for 20, 30 years, every day they are learning something new. And if they're telling you something different, then they're not telling you the truth, because every day you learn something in business. Whether that's about yourself, whether that's about business, whatever it is, you're always learning. And just get out there, do it. But talk to the right people. Like I say, I think it's the two together. You're going to start to have a business that works for you. And take time. Take time to think about your business. Don't just, the old analogy. Don't work, in your business, all the time. Take a step back, reflect on it, and things like that. And that's the same with literally. So when I started Coffeeazy, I was like, I had some goals. So I set it up, did what I needed to do, then actually took the foot off the gas and went, actually, like, is this what I want to do? Is this right? And then obviously I reflected on it, changed a couple of things, and then the last 2 months have really been like, this is it. And obviously, I wrote a plan and all those sort of things as well. So,
So you were just talking about the personal support network as well. How much? Because I think this is a double-edged sword when it comes to taking advice from your friends and family. Mm-hmm. How much advice did you take when you were starting your brand, and how much of it did you take to heart as well?
So I'm gonna so obviously I told my friends and family what I wanted to do. Obviously they were aware of what both conversations I've had. Obviously I'm very fortunate to be part of a big professional network through the job I do, but also through people like the networking groups I'm part of. So a lot more advice came from that kind of group of people, just because the majority of them are startups. They are business leaders. They are part of a business, whether that's marketing, whether that's legal, so a lot of it's kind of comes to that experience. But friends and family are your support network, and obviously if they don't understand what you're doing, how can they kind of understand your emotional well-being? And your I think friends and family are really important for your emotional side of it and your personal side of a business. Whereas unless you've got some really good professional relationships, friendships, I suppose you call them, I suppose that's where it's slightly different. And sometimes you just need the emotional, you need to be really blunt with you and just say, look, it's just not working. Why, when you thought of this, you thought of that. But again, you need to take that advice and reflect on it before you start to do it. So if somebody says you go and do this, think about it. Talk to other people about it. Don't just what worked for one person might not work for you. And if it involves putting money into a business or putting money into something, do your research. There are so many people out there doing the same thing. So don't just jump ship and go, I'm going to go do this person because they're really good for somebody else. Really kind of think about it, reflect on it, and that's something that's really important to me. I reflect on a lot of things in my life. I worked in a sector whereby people's emotional well-being has been really important, and I want to make sure my emotional well-being is good as well. So I think I come from a sector, in charity and third sector, that I do a lot of reflecting, and I think that's been really important for me on everything, and that's the same for Coffeeazy as well. I just like to think about things before I go full gas.
Yeah, I think one of the problem for a lot of people is that people don't have a network to begin with. It is just friends and family that they can rely on, both for their personal emotional well-being and advice, and then the businesses that they're trying to do. And once you don't have any distinction between the both, it does get a bit convoluted, and you do get confused whether I should be listening to my friends and family or I shouldn't be, just because you don't have a clear path and you're still discovering yourself.
There's a clear path to it.
Yeah.
It's never a clear path.
There's uncertainty along the way.
If there's one thing I've learned, no matter what stage someone's at, it is almost like we're professionally winging it. But I think I really appreciate what you said about that support structure as well, because I don't know if you'd agree, but I think that balance is so important. Certainly the culture around starting a business, entrepreneurship now, or generally it's just work. The harder you work and the better you're doing. But personally, I've come close to burning out. And I think if you can, it's not so much about just killing yourself every day. If you want to do that, go ahead. But at the same time, if you can find something where you're productive to the highest standard you can push yourself to, but remain consistent with it, that's what I would certainly I'd push more for that than keep don't sleep and stuff, and having that support around you. So with you teaching these kids and everything, is that something you get to talk about with them, that sort of balance?
Yeah. So we're fortunate to have at Epic have a partnership with a organisation called More Talk, More Action. More Talk, More Action do the emotional well-being, the goal setting, the professional, the personal development for the young people. Obviously, I'm not saying we don't do that as well, but that's what we've partnership up with them for. So they very much talk about the emotional, but also within Epic, they have an Epic mentor. So that'd be me and somebody else in the team that talks to them regularly. And obviously, once we've built those relationships, you start to understand where some of those challenges come for them. Obviously, we know from the beginning. Obviously, we ask them. We have a dialogue with them before they join Epic about, because we are working with underprivileged, disadvantaged young people. So there's a reason that they come to Epic. Obviously, they're not the opportunities elsewhere. So we're very aware of that. But yeah, there's a lot of people working with them, but also as a team, we talk regularly. So we've met this person 3 times this week, and these are conversations that you just kind of click that something's not quite right there. But yeah, there's a lot of people working on that. And for us, underlying everything we do is personal development as well as professional development. So yeah, we're really, really good to have a kind of really good mix between the two. But coming back to what you said there, obviously, so for me, I do my best thinking when I'm doing walking. So I will literally just take an hour out of work and go for a walk. If I'm staring at a computer and I'm doing something and I just feel like I completely hit a block, just I'm still working, I'm still doing my job. I'm just going out and I do a walk, and I go for a walk for an hour. I take a notepad with me, and it's really old style, I get that, but I take a notepad with me because I don't want to look at technology. I want to just get it on a piece of paper and I just write stuff. I wrote my 90-day business plan whilst I was in the park. I literally had an A4 pad of paper in my hand and a pen, and I just wrote words on a piece of paper. And that's how I think that, I'm not saying it works for me, but you need to take time away from life, just in general, not just business, but life as well. You need downtime, find a hobby, find an interest that's completely different to your job. Absolutely. Completely different. Whatever it is, get out there, enjoy the fresh air, or other people's company, whatever it is that you do, completely switch off. I've got friends that that play squash, And in squash, obviously, you can't take your phone in the court. It literally is outside. You for that hour, or however long you're playing squash for, you are literally focused on that. And I advise anybody to put your phone down, put it in a drawer, go for a walk, play football, whatever you want to do, completely switch off. Because that's the only way that you're going to look after your emotional well-being. You're going to burn out. I mean, we've all been there.
I did exactly the same thing. Like when I was a few years ago, I think you can be burning without realizing. And someone gave me some advice: just go for a walk. That was before I met Raj. That was maybe like 4 years ago now. I haven't stopped taking a walk, at least like a good hour or two walk once a week. But now I've started like cycling into the office and just giving yourself those opportunities just to take 5 to yourself. So like I love listening to a podcast or doing Audible. And I think like the value of that, of just having some time to actually reflect and not necessarily think, like not necessarily even take the notepad, just taking that time to actually de-stress, take yourself away from the situation for a little while.
I think the technical word is brain dump. Just literally just like, and I think we all need to do it. We all need to. We live in a world now that is very fast-paced, very technology-orientated, and I think if you don't take, and I'm not saying do it every day, you know what I mean, but sometimes you'll reach a pinnacle, and because they're not really spiritual now, but you need to understand yourself, take when you're on holiday, have a holiday. You know what I mean? Like, don't take your phone with, don't take your work stuff with you and stuff like that. And I think that's really important.
I think for people who are especially running businesses, technologies also represents work. It also represents, like where your contacts are. For us, where our team is, like all those messaging platforms, everything like that. And it's the air of competitiveness. Like with the things that you've just mentioned, like competition is one of the biggest, like killer, I'd say, when it comes to creativity, when it comes to your mental well-being, your peace, because it's continuously about who's winning, not like who's satisfied, who's happy, like, or being content with like your progress. It's the everyday, you're bombarded with information about millionaires, billionaires, like how much they're making a second, how much they're making an hour. And people, like, again, take that personally. They don't fall back onto, like their comfortable positions. It's just that, like, we've just got to cut through this. And in cutting through that, like, you're mostly destroying your own mental well-being. And actually, like, it stands in the way, because if you're burning out continuously, that just means that you're taking continuous stops before moving forward. So having like a continuous smoother pace. I mean, I have a habit of walking when I'm even on the phone. I just pace around because it helps me think. But I think like there isn't enough emphasis on the mental well-being part with the like the professional well-being. So of course like everyone wants their business to succeed, but like not at the cost of their own well-being, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as a sole trader or a person that runs a business by themselves, I think you're even more vulnerable to that. So I think that's even really more important when your support network comes in. So yeah, like I said, I think for anybody it's about understanding, but also having boundaries. You need to have boundaries. You need to be able to switch off from work and however that works for you. Like I say, and for me it's just brain dumping on a piece of paper, and that's all I do. And that's, like I say, we've all been at the point. I think it's about understanding your own personal level of where you're at. Because things happen in life. Like I say, tomorrow something could happen. You know what I mean? Are you in a position that's going to severely affect you? And if you are, like I say, that's one of the questions I ask myself quite regularly. Like, if something was to happen tomorrow, how am I at the moment emotionally, and would that completely affect me? And if the answer is yes, I need to take some time out. I need to just switch off. And I think I've come to that point in myself that I understand that. And I think that I'm not saying this for everybody, but for me that's really important. I just take a step back and take 3-4 hours out. obviously I'm really fortunate to have a flexible job as well.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
obviously I work, as most people I think generally do at the moment because of COVID and everything else happened as well. But I just take some time out and just go, well, I haven't got to do it now. I can do it tomorrow. I can do it at the end of the week unless it's urgent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It hasn't got to happen now. It hasn't got to happen today. And if you're engaging with clients or customers, just go look, making sure that they understand the boundaries as well, but also that that it's just not going to happen today. Some things may take a bit longer. And I think it's being honest with them and just going, look, I'm on it, but tomorrow I'll be more on it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's really important. I think that we are very client driven, and I think that because clients want it now, they want it here now. Right now. And I think it's just being honest with them and just going, how about we get it to you by the end of the week? Instead of not in now, unless you need it now. Obviously, then you've got to prioritise other stuff. So I think it all just brings around to emotion and mental well-being.
So, Marc, how we'd like to close these podcasts then is the guest gives a little bit of advice on the particular topic. So this one about startups, that experience, and from your background, of course, of providing these skills and this knowledge. Let's say someone's watching this who is considering it or has just done a startup. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone watching this about starting a brand?
I don't think so, but because you bring me down to one idea now. For me, the number one piece of advice is to go through it. Just do it. There are so many people out there that have started a business. It is a learning experience. It's not going to be perfect from day one. Don't expect it to be. As soon as you say, I've got a business, from day one to start making money, to start getting clients, but do it, because if you don't do it, it's never going to happen. And that's my piece of advice. Just go out there and do it.
Perfect.
Because you're never going to know. And if it's, I don't want to use the word, but if it's not going the way you want it to go, it's not a failure. It's not the end of your journey. It's not the end of your experience. It is a learning experience. You look at many multi-millionaire, billionaires out there, they had 2 or 3 businesses, maybe sometimes more, before they got to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
So, and they wouldn't have got to where they've got to now without basically just starting a business and learning from that experience. Just go out there, do it, but learn, enjoy the experience as much as you can. But yeah, that's my one piece of advice, to do it.
Love it. Can't argue with that. Well, Marc, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And thank you for the coffee.
You're most welcome.